Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a simple cylindrical mug from your slab building technique. So once you've rolled out your slab, and you should have about consistent thickness throughout your piece, and I don't have it be too much thinner than my pinky. For mugs we can roll them out a slightly thinner, but again you don't want to be too thin. Alright. So the form we're going to need to make a mug is a rectangle to start, because we're going to create a cylinder. So I'm going to actually create the walls of my mug first. I'm going to save this slab for my base later. This is set aside. All right, so however, this is going to be kind of how thick your mug is, and then this is going to be how tall your mug is. So it's kind of up to you how you want to, how big you want your mug to be. I like to save all of my little extra scraps. I'm just going to kind of even it out a little bit. You can definitely use a ruler if you want it to be perfect. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, guesstimating. All right, so I have my rectangle here, and now I'm going to actually bevel the sides so that it can connect a little bit more evenly. So what I mean by beveling is I'm just going to take my cutting tool. I'm going to angle it about at a 45-degree angle and kind of slice so that it is going this direction. I don't know if you can see that okay. And then watch this. I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to flip it over. I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side, but notice it is the opposite side of my slab. All right. So the reason why I'm doing that is then when I connect these pieces together, is it creates a nice little seam that then doesn't have extra bulky clay in between. All right, so whenever you're connecting your clay together, don't forget we definitely use our slip as our glue. And for this kind of a connection, I'm definitely going to do my scoring. So that's where you scratch, attach. So using my toothpick tool, a fork is also another good tool to use. I'm just going to use a toothpick today. And I'm going to make these little grooves in the clay where I'm going to make my attachment. Notice I am going in multiple directions. Going diagonal, straight. I'm going to do the same thing on both sides. So remember, when you're connecting clay together, you want to do your scratch, attach. It's also called slip and score. I call slip it, stick it, smooth it. Lots of different ways I say this. All right. So to connect these together, I'm going to have support on the inside. I'm going to get my glue, my slip. I'm going to get this nice and wet. If you have little chunks of clay in your slip, that's also really good for glue. And then I'm also going to do that on the other side here. All right, now I'm going to connect this together. So I'm going to kind of gently press. So I'm kind of supporting again on the inside as I connect this together. And then using my finger, I'm going to smooth out that seam. There we go. So again, supporting on the inside, using my fingers to kind of smooth that seam out so that the connection should be seamless, right? Notice I am going in different directions. I go across and I go up and down. Don't forget your spoon is also a really great tool for creating some smooth connections. Using the edge of my spoon, I'm going to seal it up. All right. So I'm going to get this. All right, I will play with the lip. That's the part where I'm going to drink out of a little bit later. But pretty much you should have a cylindrical form well connected. All right. After that, you're going to want to create the base. This can be the bottom of your mug. So I'm going to grab my slab that I set aside. And now I'm going to measure how big I want this. Kind of shape it. Make sure this stays nice and round. And now I'm actually going to use my toothpick, not for cutting, but just marking where it is I want to create my cut. So I'm just kind of dragging it around in a circle. There we go. I'm going to set this guy off to the side. Now I have my shape that I need. And then I'm going to use my knife as my cutting tool. I'm going to cut those off first, save that for later. And now I'm going to cut my curves. And this should be about the same size as my base. All right. Same thing when you're connecting two pieces of clay together is you want to create your scratch, attach. So I'm going to go ahead and take my toothpick, scratch, going in different directions. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. A lot of kids like to skip this step. And as clay dries, it does want to separate and come apart. So it might seem like it's connected, but then it comes apart later. So definitely slip and score, scratch, attach, slip it, stick it, smooth it. All right, so I'm going to gently kind of place this where I want. All right, and from here, I'm actually going to take the clay. I'm going to kind of try to pick this up actually so you can see. So I'm going to connect it. And then what I want to do is I'm trying to connect this together. So I'm actually going to drag this clay up into this clay. Right now I'm just using my thumb, but if you're doing it from here, I'd actually stick my hand inside to support the inside. It's kind of a smaller mug, but that's okay. So I'm going to kind of work my way around, pulling the clay from the base up into the walls of my mug. And I'm going all the way around to make sure every single seam is connected. Okay, pretty nice. So now that's all together. You can also use your spoon if you'd like, but this is a pretty well connected mug. So now my mug has a base, and now I get to play with my handle. I'm also going to take a little bit of water. I'm going to smooth out my edge. So this is where it's called the lip of your mug, but it's pretty much where you are going to be sipping out of. So you want to make sure that's nice and smooth. Rough edges, you don't want to cut yourself on your pottery. Okay, so now it's a nice soft edge. All right, lots of different ways to make a handle. The way I like to do it, let me grab some scraps here. So I'm going to set this guy aside. So I'm actually going to take a ball of clay. I'm going to roll out a coil. So I start by rolling it in the palms of my hand, and then I'm going to roll it out. Again, using the palm of my hand when I'm rolling out my coils. All right, and then after I have a pretty thick coil, I'm going to kind of gently tap it with the palm of my hand to kind of flatten it out a little bit. I'm going to cut, I kind of like this edge here. You can smooth out your handle. Okay, so now I have kind of a nice handle shape. This is how it's kind of skinnier here, gets a little bit thicker down here. All right, and when kids attach handles, I see a lot of times as kids want to go like this and then kind of curve it around like that. I actually like to kind of start by going up and then around and down. Something kind of like a half heart shape. And this is a pretty thick handle, so I might make this actually a little bit smaller because my mug's a little bit smaller than I anticipated. So I'm going to actually slice this guy and maybe re-roll him a little bit. So I'm going to make a slightly skinnier mug. So you want your handle to kind of match the shape, because right now I feel like that's like too big. So you can always cut it to be a little bit smaller. So I'm probably going to cut mine to be about like that. I am cutting, if you notice, actually I should be cutting on this side. So there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to be attaching, and the shape of my handle is going to be about like this. So where my attachment is going to go is going to be here and on the inside here. And I'm also going to scratch here where I want to attach it. All right, I'm going to use my glue support on the inside. I'm going to take my handle, I'm going to press, and then press. And then using your finger to kind of smooth out any cracks that you see in your handle. Okay, then you can kind of play with connections. All right, and then make sure your hand can fit in there. I might kind of stretch this guy out a little bit. Then my hand can fit into my mug. All right, after that, if you want to carve any details into your mug, you can. You can even add some additive textures on there if you want. Gonna smooth out any cracks that we see. But that is a very fast, basic way of making a mug using the slab building technique. All right, friends, have fun creating.